the concentrates. Hopefully he'll add in a few things. So we can get started if Eddie wants to do a 3, 2, 1 countdown.
Yeah, sure. All right. 3, 2, 1, go.
And we're off. So the no major glitches for this game is probably the most popular category that's ran in this game. It's very, very fun. And basically it is a no save and quit, and of course no major glitches category. So the escape portion is the start of the run. Kind of a lot of movement that Eddie's going to focus on here. Not a whole lot going on. He just has to make his way through the first part and rescue Princess Zelda.
Chat says there's no game on the... Ah, okay.
Hey, we go.
There we go.
So what you're going to be seeing mostly, obviously since we don't have the boots yet, is Eddie's going to be doing a lot of movement techniques, what we call pumping in this game. And about pumping, I'll kind of give you a short synopsis of it. I won't go into too much detail. But basically, pumping just resets Link's movement to have a possibility of being faster. So while he is moving either north or west, Link moves 2 pixels per frame, and then when he's going the other 2 directions, he only moves 1 pixel per frame. So what he's trying to do is every time he's moving north or west, he's going to hold that direction and he's going to mash a different directional button to where he wants to go to try and reset his movement to be faster. Hope you all enjoyed that description. A little bit of RNG in the guard hallway here. Avoids the guard nicely. Coming to our first key guard, which Eddie's going to do the optimal left slash, and he gets it. And what you're going to see a lot of too is, along with pumping, you can do air pumping, and then you can wall pumping as well, or double pumping. And anytime he's moving those specific directions, he's pumping against a wall or a rail, or pumping through the air to possibly get his movement to be a little bit faster. Alright, booming the key, headed to the north. We are on our way to the first and only true boss of this game. It is the ball and chain. This guy can be kind of a bully sometimes. Basically, he swings his chain around and you have to hit him multiple times. Hopefully you get the timing right and don't get hit by the ball and chain as he swings it around. And then, of course, hit him towards the door to make it a little bit faster, but does it flawlessly. There is quite a bit of text in this game as well, too, so a lot of mashing, a lot of cutscenes, pendants, and crystal cutscenes along with it. Mashing the buttons is called pumping. Yeah. Mashing everything that you can. So Eddie just rescued Princess Zelda here, so he's going to make his way back the way he came from, and then he's going to push a mantle in the throne room to get to the secret passageway in the back to lead Zelda. Along the way, he's going to have a lot of difficult RNG rooms. That's one thing that is very critical of this game, but also very critical of the escape segment, is just being able to react very quickly to the RNG that you see. You know, which ways the enemies are going or what they're doing. So a lot of quick reactions and quick movement to get through these rooms as fast as possible. And by any chance, if anybody watching is interested in running this game, whether it's this category or another one, which is really cool because Link to the Past actually has so many different categories, major glitches or no major glitches that you can run. The community is absolutely fantastic. They're all very helpful. There's a ton of tutorials out there to help get you started, and it's in my opinion one of the best Super Nintendo games made. So it is very, very fun to run. We get some good Snake RNG here. He's going to be pumping upwards here through the water rooms. So you kind of see Link do some weird looking movement, because Link actually moves slower while he is walking in water or tall grass or with his sword out. So try to get that movement to be a little bit faster. Got a good key rat. Sometimes he likes to go in the northwest or the Seattle area is what we call it. The typical escape time for this segment is on average right around like a 5:51, I would say, give or take a few seconds. But honestly, anything under 6 minutes is pretty darn good. Nice. Looks like Eddie got onto there just as the clock hit 5:50, so very, very nice escape. At this point, going through the priest text, you do have the option to get this chest on the left side. That is a full heart. It is called the Sanctuary Heart. It will add another heart to your health, and it will fully heal you as well. But since Eddie likes to go zoom zoom, he is going to skip that. So right now we are making our way to the Eastern Palace, which is going to be our first actual dungeon in this game, as he makes his way through the overworld. What is Zoom Zoom, you ask? That is a fantastic... Zoom Zoom is just, let's go as fast as we can. And Zoom Zoom is a 0000. And then as you can see, going up manual stairs where you have walls on both sides of Link, you can actually double pump there and speed up Link's movement considerably. It gives you just more chances to reset his current movement. Being able to skip that guard at the top of the stairs. Alright, we are in Eastern Palace. This is a pretty straightforward dungeon. There are a few tricks that you're going to see Eddie do in a room coming up here. The first notable one is going to be the skeleton room. Basically what he's going to do is he's going to walk on a specific pathway. And there's supposed to be 4 skeletons that actually spawn, but by walking on this pathway and not using hitting the hitbox that they spawn in, he can only kill 2 to open up the door instead of having all 4 of them spawn. So that is quite a big time saver there. And when I say skeleton, I mean Stelphos. That's what they're called. Skipping the safety arrows. What a god. Eddie is going to be looking for some rupees in this dungeon. He needs a total of 110 rupees by the time he gets to the Dark World, so he's going to be collecting them as they fall, if they are in front of him. The next room coming up, or the second big trick in this dungeon, is called the Big Key Damage Boost, or the Big Key Skip Room. We're not actually skipping the Big Key, but basically we're purposely taking damage on that rope enemy there, and we're utilizing iframes or invincibility frames to hit the switch underneath those anti-fairies there, which will be able to activate the chest in the middle to pick up the Big Key. If you didn't do that strategy, you'd actually have to kill every enemy in that room for the anti-fairies to disperse away from the button. Yeah, I mean, now is a great time to read donations if you have any.
Yeah, we got a couple. Just didn't want to jump in and interrupt your flow there, but
No,
yeah,
no
we got a $5 donation from Pam, no message, and then we got a $20 donation from M. Colser. It says good luck, Eddie. So just want to shout that out. That's awesome, guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks, man.
Awesome. Thank you for the donations. We appreciate it.
No. That's dumb.
Double readies can be kind of a trying to get 4 arrows off on those 2 readies very quickly can be kind of frustrating, especially when you try to do that room optimally. Alright, so now we need to make our way back toward the boss here. We don't have to go all the way to the right side because Eddie's already done that. He's already got a bow. So we can just go straight north after we get through these few rooms. Yeah, NMG can be pretty brutal, especially once you get further in the game, and really when you start to optimize as many rooms or boss fights as you possibly can, it can be pretty painful. Especially in early game, I've had my fair share of deaths in Eastern myself, even before I get to Eastern, so... Especially when you don't grab the same card. Most players at this point have 4 full hearts that they can utilize. Alright, coming up on the Armos boss, the Armos Knights. Eddie is going to go for a very optimal strat that can be pretty tough to hit. Oh, baby. GG. That is a really tough strat to do. I actually just started learning that strat myself, and you got to be very, very good with your movement, and also you have to have really good timing on your arrows. That is a fantastic fight. Alright, so making our way out of Eastern Palace, this is where the speed run officially starts, is right when we get our boots. It makes everything so much faster, plus there's a lot of minor glitches that you can utilize as soon as you get boots, which are all super fun and super fast. And if you guys didn't know, this guy's name is Saha. He's not a bald old man, he is wearing a cowboy hat. I just had to clarify that for everybody. Now you know, right? The more you know. It's important. Alright, Eddie just hit the spin speed minor glitch. What's really cool about spin speed, it actually gives you a speed state where you can basically move at dashing speed without bonking into anything, which is really nice to go faster in this game. But when you're in that state, you are not allowed to use your sword, and if you get hit by an enemy or you hop off of a ledge, it will cancel that state, and then you will go back to normal walking speed. Many times throughout this run, we're going to use that spin speed technique, especially right now as Eddie's making his way to the library. He's going to twice here. Basically, what you do is you charge your sword, and once your sword is charged for the spin attack, you need to release your sword and then hit the A button or the dash button 1 frame after releasing your spin. And if you do that correctly, all you have to do is just touch a manual staircase or come off of a manual staircase, and you will have that spin speed state. And a lot of these minor glitches that you're going to see are exclusive to the Japanese 1.0 version. That's why most of the, that's why most of the top runners run on this particular version, not only for the exclusive minor glitches, but also for the faster text. All right, making our way to the second dungeon of the Light World, which is Desert Palace, which has the most fantastical RNG boss ever. And yes, Link did just pray to open up the dungeon. Alright, there are specific pots going through Desert Palace here that Eddie's going to pick up for arrows, because we are going to utilize a bunch of our arrows on the Land Molus fight. So Eddie should be, I want to say, about 28 arrows he'll have going into the boss fight. Right now we're going to make our way to the big key, though, so we can open the door. Going through the cannonball room, this room has a lot of different RNG that you can either completely dash through for clear room, or you'll have to stop and re-dash, unfortunately. Rooms like that take a lot of quickness and RNG reaction. Oh snap, 40 rupees. So at this point, having 40 rupees, you are known as being extremely rich. Sometimes at this point, I still have 0, which makes things a little tough.
I think I had a red one in Eastern.
Yeah, a couple of blues too that I saw you pick up. Alright, making our way outside of the first section of Desert, we're going to hit kind of a risky spin speed. What's risky about this is, since you're in the super speed state, if you touch a ledge, you will instantly hop off. So he's got to be very, very careful, because if you accidentally hop off, you have to start at the beginning of Desert Palace and then reopen it and go through it again. So that's a considerable time loss just in case that happens. So it's a very, very risky strat there. Alright, just a few RNG rooms left before the boss door. As you just saw there, and then a prior room. What's cool about key dashes is you need to make sure that you line link up on a multiple of 4 pixels to hit the key dash. But luckily it is pretty easy, because most things are already aligned in that 4 pixels. You know, a rail, a wall, a pot, and all you have to do is just line up with that and then dash toward the door to get the key dash, which does save time. So, all right, Land Molas. We got a few arrows in the first phase there. Short hop. This boss can be really, really frustrating. You want to try to go for a 2 cycle, but as you can see here, the RNG that the landmos pop out of short hop, it can be very, very frustrating at times. But each landmo takes 4 arrows to kill. There are 3 landmos. That's why it was important that Eddie had enough arrows, because he's still going to need some arrows after this boss fight, going into Ega Tower after the Tower of Hera. All right, so Eddie's going to make his way to the eastern part of Hyrule here, right by Lake Hylia. And what he's going to do is he's going to do a minor glitch called Fake Flippers. It's a faster route to get to Tower of Hera, and he needs to enter a portal that's in the water, but we don't have flippers yet. So what he's going to do is, if you jump into the water 1 frame or 1 pixel away from a screen transition, the game doesn't register that correctly, and it allows you to transition the screen the same time that you're jumping into the water and allows you to swim. So the game gets kind of confused, which helps us out because we're speedrunning. But the thing with fake flippers is if you end up getting hit in water, the game doesn't know where to put you on screen. So if that happens, you will be basically in an infinite soft lock, and you have to reset. And of course, the category that we're running is no major glitches with no save and quit. So.
All right, let's pray for good Death Mountain RNG.
Yo, thanks, SpearX. I appreciate the opportunity to commentate for you guys. All right, Death Mountain can be a very scary place, especially without Saint-Cart, because you got a bunch of squirrels that basically go whatever direction they want to go, which is usually in front of you and block you. You got all these boulders or cabbages falling down at you that could hit you multiple times and actually kill you before you can even get up the mountain. So just getting up this ladder here at full health is an accomplishment. So what you saw here is Eddie did a specific menu buffer so he could enter in the portal at the right edge of it. And what that does is it actually gives you what we call a quick warp. And what a quick warp is basically entering the portal and it warps you quicker, or it's a quicker animation, and it actually saves you 34 frames, which is a little bit more than a half a second in this game, which obviously there's a lot of portals and a lot of quick warps, so that does save quite a bit of time. Basically behind that, every eight pixels, there are 2 quick warp spots that you can hit. So doing things like buffering on the menu to see where your position is at really helps you hit those. All right, Eddie's gonna go for a boom dash in the tile room. And for the boom dash, this does save a little bit of time. It is tough, but basically you have to hit 3 inputs at the same time. So he needs to dash and use an item. Basically, it's just called an item dash, hitting Y and A on the same frame. But along with that, he's got to throw his boomerang down. So he's got to hit down, Y, and A all on the same frame, which doesn't sound too hard as I talk about it, but trust me, yeah, it can be painful. Sky cabbages. Everybody loves sky cabbages. All right, we got the big key. We're gonna mirror out. There's a lot of dungeons that you're gonna see Eddie mirror. Basically, mirror just takes you back to the entrance. It's gonna be a lot faster than backtracking. Nice Beatles room. All right, so coming up here, Eddie is going to do an optimal bomb jump strat. Basically, bomb jumping it can be pretty difficult, but as long as you're 2 pixels away from the edge of a pit, you can take the explosion of the bomb, and it's going to send you across a 2-tile gap. And so what Eddie's going to do here is he's going to do a early bomb jump, is what we call it. And that is very, very difficult because not only you have to carry the bomb, he's got to worry about the timing of the bomb explosion, be able to line himself up 2 pixels away from the edge of a pit before that bomb explodes. He does this successfully, so GG. In the next room, there is a bumper skip that he does. Basically, that's a 4-pixel window to be able to do that. Just line up between the pit and the bumper and dash in between and pray. Moldorm. Everyone's favorite boss. So Moldorm has quite a bit of RNG. He can go whatever way he wants to go. And then once you get a few hits on Moldorm, he is going to kind of go berserk, if you will, or he's going to speed up his movement. You definitely don't want to hit the middle pit there. That will bring you down 2 extra floors, but being able to follow Moldorm's head is always a good strategy because the tail always follows the head. So as long as you line up behind Moldorm's head, you can kind of guess where he's going to go. Also using dash strats as well does help out. All right, so we are making our way to the Master Sword. And obviously, as you can see, we are still 70 rupees short of where we want to be. So shoutouts to ACMLM, who discovered the tree pulling techniques in the prize packs. What you can actually do is, as long as you kill 4 enemies, you can pull a tree and out will pop 4 blue rupees, or a total of 20. So that's going to help him get a few more rupees ahead. And as he's going through the Lost Woods here, he's actually going to kill 4 more enemies. So with that, if you kill 4 enemies after that first tree pull without getting hit or taking damage, the prize from that tree pull is going to be 4 red rupees, or totaling 80. So with Eddie being at 50 rupees right now, I believe he can pull the tree from the left here and skip a red rupee.
Can I?
Yes.
All right.
Skip a red rupee, it'll put you at 60 more rupees, which will put you at 110.
Oh, true.
Math is fun. But I tell you what, when I'm doing this run, I can't do at all.
Yeah.
I'll be like, okay, 4, carry the 3. No, that's not right. How many blues do I need? I get so confused. All right, so that bird that he dashed through was the 4th and final kill without being hit. So he's going to make his way down south here, and he's going to pull this tree for red rupees. And he has his 110. So he is good to go for the Dark World. So now he is making his way toward Aghanim's tower here, or back to the Hyrule Castle. And Aghanim is the gatekeeper to the Dark World. Math under pressure, I know, right? It's impossible.
Yo, thanks, Jax.
All right, so now that we have the Master Sword, we are able to swipe this barrier and break through it. And now we are going to climb the tower, make our way. Right, so what you're going to see Eddie do on these 2 guards here, they have the fairy prize pack drop, and Eddie wants to conserve that fairy, or that drop, for a later dungeon, specifically Turtle Rock. So what he's going to do is he's actually going to dash through them, because if you dash through an enemy, they do not drop an item, and you do not progress their prize pack. So he's going to save that prize pack for later. They pinched you in the corner there. What
That was bad, RNG.
So now that Eddie doesn't have beams in this room, he's going to go line up at the bottom of the wall. Pow! If you did have beams there, it can be because you're going to get shot by an arrow guard if you try to key dash. He actually, since he didn't have beams, he switched to the boomerang and he clanked it on the back of the door to get the guards to aggro towards him there. Alright, just a few rooms short of Aghanim. Sweet! If you guys didn't see that there, when he was going up, he canceled his dash with an up input. That's just something we recently learned, because going off stairs actually creates stair lag, and you can cancel your dash with an up input if you dash on the edge of a pit. The more you know. Even though you're dashing that direction, which is kind of goofy. Alright, so Aghanim. Aghanim
is an asshole.
Basically, Aghanim is kind of the biggest RNG or gatekeeper of this run. You can finish this fight with 0 blue ball or all the way up to 15. Granted, if you hit every energy ball back at him. So he fires up to 4. So the very first one, he's going to fire an energy ball guaranteed. And then the next 3 are going to be a 50-50 chance of either an energy ball or blue ball. And then, of course, hitting an energy ball back at him is the only way to damage him. Once he gets to the 5th attack, it's going to be a lightning strike right down the middle. And that concludes that phase, and it's going to start all over. Aghanim needs 6 energy balls deflected back at him to be defeated. Basically, if you line up yourself on the sides of Aghanim or offset if you're above or below him, it gives you a much better chance to avoid getting hit by a blue ball. How many blue balls did you get there? 1, 2?
2.
2. Nice. That's not bad. I believe 3 blue balls is average. So 2 is pretty good in a run. I take that all day. There are people and there are videos that you can watch of them getting 15 blue balls, which is a crazy, crazy chance. I mean, you have a much better chance of getting 0 than you do 15, which is pretty insane. So we do have one runner that's got 2 15 blue ball Aghanims, which is really funny. So shout outs to Scribo. All right, we are in the Dark World. It's the best part of the game because everybody does not like. He's gonna hit a spin speed on the stairs here, and he's gonna make his way to the eastern part of the map in the Dark World, which is Palace of Darkness. Oh, the double bomb! What a bully! Going to Palace of Darkness is the reason why we wanted to collect 110 rupees, because we have to pay Kiki the monkey 10 rupees to have him follow us. He's an extortionist. And then the other 100 we have to pay him once we get to Palace of Darkness for the monkey to actually open it up. So the big question is, what is Kiki gonna do with 110 rupees? I want to know what he's buying. Is it bananas? What is? He has his own monkey on his. That would explain a lot. I now understand. All right, so Palace of Darkness, you're going to see Eddie mirror quite a bit in this dungeon. It's just the fastest route to mirror back to the entrance, then backtrack multiple times. He's going to grab basically bombs from these pots every time he gets back to the entrance, because we need to start stocking up. Alright, he's going to make his way to bombing the floor in the next few rooms here, which is going to bring him to the big key of the dungeon.
Oops.
Yeah, Kiki should definitely donate those rupees to the stream. I agree. Alright, so he is making his way to the big chest. And what he's going to do, he is going to do a bomb jump to the big chest, and he's going to rail clip. If you weren't going to do that, you'd have to go more north and grab a key to get in there. But for this bomb jump, he's going to utilize pause buffers and switch to specific items in the menu. And basically you have to, this is pixel perfect trick. You have to specifically place a bomb on a certain pixel, and then once that bomb is there, then you have to move Link up a few more pixels to be aligned with the bomb specifically, to have him, or to have him, the bomb is a he apparently, to have the bomb blast you over to the rail that allows us to clip through it. Fun trick. Also, nobody fails that hammer jump when they're on pace either. Impossible. All right. Let's see if Eddie gets the sexy statue. Oh. Well, that statue was kind of cute. Mimics, everyone's favorite enemy, where they actually mimic all of your movements, which can be frustrating. You can go for Swag Boom.
Yeah.
So Palace of Darkness can be a pretty scary dungeon, especially if you skip the Sank Heart. Mainly because of the Helmasaur, the boss. Every single attack that Helmasaur can hit you with does 2 hearts of damage. And it can get pretty scary. Oh, that was so close. There we go. I do apologize, guys, if I'm a little bit ahead, just with the stream delay and whatnot. Hopefully the commentary is hitting the points for y'all. Alright, making our way to Helmasaur. So, like I said before, each one of Helmasaur's attacks does 2 hearts of damage. It does take 17 hammer hits to hit off the mask. Once the mask is off, his face is exposed, or the jewel that we're going to hit, and we're going to utilize the hammer to hit the inside of the jewel. That takes 3 hammer hits and a spin. Oh, baby. So Eddie just got the Dream Helmasaur. Very, very nice fight. Helmasaur can spit out fireballs as well. The fireballs, if you guys didn't know, the very first one explodes randomly, and then the next 2 will explode in a clockwise positioning. So you kind of know where they're going to explode after the first one to help out. But he can tail swipe you, he can charge you, and then once his mask is off, he can do all those attacks in the same go. So he can be a very, very dangerous boss. Did someone say Helmasaur? I sure did. So a lot of these crystal cutscenes, by saving the maiden, there is quite a bit of tech smashing through these. Everyone's favorite part. Some of them close to a minute. Your fingers get pretty tired after a while. Alright, so we have our first Dark World dungeon down. We are going to make our way out of the pod section, and then we're going to grab a shovel and get the flute. But before that, we're going to do some fun stuff. So as he makes his way out of here, item dashing. Probably one of the more popular items to do with the item dashing minor glitch is with the hammer. Just being able to hit Y and A on the same frame, dash through the pegs with the hammer is zoom fast. Ooh, nice top. Alright, this guy's gonna give us the shovel! We got the shovel! With the shovel, we are going to dig up the flute. Ooh, Eddie getting a quick warp right there as well. That's not an easy one to hit. Saving those 34 frames. Zoom, count 2. Ooh, snap. Alright, so we're going to make our way to the middle of the town so we can activate the flute and call the bird, or the duck, whatever animal you want this to be. I think it's a duck, right? Pretty sure it's a duck. The Flying V! Sorry, I do a lot of movie quotes, just my personality. Alright, so we got the flute activated. So we're gonna make our way north of the town, and we're gonna go back to the Dark World, and we're going to enter the second dungeon of this run, which is actually, I believe, the 4th dungeon in sequence, which is Thieves Town. We do a little things differently here as far as dungeon sequence goes in this run. The first dungeon is Pod, but the second dungeon is actually Swamp, and we skip that and we leave that for the 6th dungeon that we do. So we do a lot of dungeons out of order here, but it is a faster route to take by doing it this way. And I will let you guys pretty much know why shortly. Ooh. So you saw him pull the Thieves Town entrance further to the left there, and that's to actually bounce off of the divider and not get hit by the ghosty woasty. That was very, very close. If you would have pulled that from the middle, that ghost would have hit him. That ghost is a bully. It ain't Halloween. What's going on? Ghosty Woasty. Yes, that is the official name of that enemy. It's definitely not a Poe. It's Ghosty Woasty. All right, after getting the key here, Eddie's going to line up a cancel dash to a key dash. I always love that key dash. It feels so nice to get that. All right. See if we get the God Pixel and Hellway here. Oh, RNG is a bull. So he had the God Pixel, but the Patrick Star gave him bad RNG. You're not allowed to dash through that. But it was he did readjust and still be able to dash up straight. So. And the God Pixel in that room is pixel perfect. So it's the only way you're able to dash through there like that. Alright, so Eddie actually bombed the floor there. That opens up light, which we're going to need once we rescue Blind. That's the only way to activate the boss fight in this dungeon. But right now, we are going to make our way toward Blind. She kind of tricks us, but we're going to rescue Blind, and then we're going to make our way to the big chest, which contains the Titan's Mitts? I get those two mixed up. I usually just say gloves, but...
Same.
Yeah, I think it's Titan's Mitts. That allows you to pick up bigger rocks or heavier rocks, if you will. I think they're black. Yeah, they're black in color for those. But the reason why we do this dungeon second is to get those gloves, and that's going to give us access to get the tempered sword or the next sword upgrade much earlier than the game intended you to have it per their dungeon sequence. And the tempered sword does considerably more damage, even for your regular swipe. So it does make a lot of the bosses coming up much easier. Your sword. The blind fight. So this blind fight's going to look pretty easy to y'all if you don't recognize it, but Blind is actually ran on a script. He will do the same exact movement in the fireball exactly the same way every single time as long as you follow the script, which makes this fight very, very easy if you take the time to actually learn the script. So most of the speedrunners in this game could probably fight decently confident that they're not going to die. Would you say double the damage? I would say double. You are correct. Even though a Master Sword spin attack will do tempered damage, the Tempered Sword spin attack will do Gold Sword damage. So it just with the spin attack, it just goes up a little. But for a lot of the quick kills that we are going to need the tempered sword. For the quick moth kill, for the quick cold stare kill is much easier with the tempered sword. All right, Eddie is going to grab the 300 chest here from the bomb hut. We need to start stocking up 500 rupees for buying the flippy flaps. But first, he's going to get the frog. The frog is going to turn into the dwarf light world that we rescue, and he's going to give us access for a whopping 10 rupees to temper our sword to the stronger level. Yeah, butter sword is max, or the gold sword is max, so it won't do any more damage. I always love this sequence here where you rescue him, you enter the house, you leave the house, you go back in the house, you talk to him again. He's like, hey, dude, I can make your sword stronger. I can make your sword stronger. I can make your sword stronger. Give me 10 bucks. That is a cheap blacksmith, let me tell you. But we do have to transition this after we pay the blacksmith to be able to get the tempered sword. All right, the most important trick of the run, fence dash.
No.
Oh no, no. Oh, geez. That's okay. So fence dash saves 45 minutes in this run. If you guys did, just throwing that out there.
I had it. I just couldn't switch my controller grip.
So in order to dash that fence, after you transition the screen, all you have to do is just hit left and A on the same front, and then turn up as you're dashing. Sounds easy, right? All right, we are making our way through Skull Woods here. So the first thing we're gonna do is go the best room in any dungeon ever. These mummies are the best. He gets good RNG. Those mummies, man, they can absolutely wreck you. As you're pushing the statue, as you're pulling the statue, get in your way, and it's a bad day in that room. So now that we have the big key, we are going to make our way to the big chest, which contains the fire rod. And Eddie is going to do an early bomb jump here, which can be pretty risky. Nice. GG. That early bomb jump is pretty tough because carrying the bomb and the bomb timing, and you still have to line up at least 1 or 2 pixels from the edge of the pit to be able to do it successfully. Alright, so now that we have the fire rod, we're going to make our way through this dungeon, grab an extra key. Oh, I was waiting for that. Oh, that beetle.
I never saw him going that fast. That was fucking weird.
That beetle was on steroids.
Yeah.
Alright, so we do need the fire rod to the end of the dungeon here. Nice key dash. Alright, see how good this mummy hallway is. Beautiful. That room can be pretty tough too to do those inputs that quickly. Alright, so we just have to kill this mummy up here by the spike, grab an extra key, and then we're on our way to Mothula. So Mothula, basically to get the quick kill here, you can dash into Mothula at a certain point and actually get a double hit. And what's nice about the double hit is you only need a couple more swings after that, so it's always nice to start the fight out early like that. Just in case Mothula decides to stay at the top, you can poke dash him, basically holding your sword out, and once you go to hit him, you can hit the dash button, which will poke him even into the spikes. But basically what makes Moth so hard is if he always stays to the sides or the top, you cannot slash Mothula into the spikes because it overrides your sword damage. Because obviously the spikes want to do damage, but the way it was coded, obviously you don't want to kill Mothula in his own arena. So the spike damage will do no damage to him, but also override your damage, which kind of stinks. Plus you have the floor moving, and then you have the different spikes moving as well too. So it can be pretty tough. All right, dungeon number 3 down. Just by mirroring right out of this dungeon here without moving does set you up for a quick warp. And we're gonna go back to 4, and we're gonna make our way to the. That looked like bridge warp.
Yeah, that was a quick one.
Nice. Spear block, please. That's always the best when you get the bridge warp and the spear block. It's the only reason I run this game. Alright, coming up to the Ropa lottery here. Ooh, nice. So dashing along the edge of that mountain. Everyone calls it the lottery basically because you're chancing that dash. The Ropa can hit you out of that dash. It can actually hit you out of bounds if it hits you the right way, which of course is not allowed in this category. But going to Ice Palace and getting hit by the lottery in 2 hearts down can lose a considerable amount of time. Eddie does get the quick catfish rock throw. Oops. You don't have flippers yet. Alright. These specific dashes here all the way to pain because if you don't hit the right placement of your dashes, you can jump into the water, and since you don't have flippers, basically it puts you back in the shallow water, wasting quite a bit of time. So, all right, 500 rupees for flippers. That's a lot. All right, question number 2 for everybody. What is Zora gonna do with 500 rupees? Is he gonna team up with Kiki? I mean, that's 610 rupees right there. That's a lot of money. High. I want in on this. All right, so instead of fluting to Ice Palace, Eddie's going to take a warp here right in the middle, which is actually faster. And he's going to enter this dark portal warp from the left side for a free quick warp. What a god. They're going in on a big investment together, I guess. I hate this room without beams. It's horrible.
That was really unlucky.
Also, what Eddie did in the first room there, I apologize, I didn't. We call it spooky action glitch. There's going to be two different dungeons he's going to do spooky in. But basically what he did is he, at the beginning of this segment, he fluted with the bird as he was transitioning a screen. And that actually alters your altitude for specific things like the fire rod, for instance. So it has a different, that's what I'm looking for, kind of a different radius, if you will, because we've altered the altitude. So that allowed him to kill that enemy basically while he was still into the wall. And Misery Mire Dungeon is the next place for the spooky glitch, which I'll go a little bit more into once we get there. Alright, lining up for the Ice Palace bomb jump, which skips basically half of the dungeon. Fantastic. Yeah, if you're just starting to run this game and don't do a lot of bomb jumps or don't do a lot of optimal strats or minor glitches, I would definitely suggest starting with that bomb jump, because that is a very, very important part of this, not only this dungeon, but this run itself. And seed funding for a cheaper, more affordable flippers. That makes sense. Alright, making our way to Cold Stare. So this boss hits like a truck, mainly because we're still on the green mail. The big chest that we skipped in this dungeon is the blue mail, which reduces damage, and we just decided to skip it because we want to go fast. So Cold Stare himself does 4 hearts of damage, which is pretty big. And Eddie went for the optimal strat, which is 2 poke dashes and finishing with a spin. Which is actually pretty tough to do consistently. Like I was saying before, if you have your sword held out and you poke an enemy, your sword will drop. But if you poke an enemy and then dash slightly as you're poking him, you're going to do more damage and you're going to keep your sword held out. So if Cold Stare splits into 3 pup, things could get very bad very quickly, because you got the 3 puffs going all different directions. You got ice falling from the ceiling that splits into 3 different ice pieces that can hit you for 2 hearts. So that dungeon's very scary. If you do end up dying to Cold Stare, you're going to be out of magic. You have to farm for magic and then basically go through the entire dungeon again. So that boss can be pretty scary. With the flute dash. That flute dash that he did there can save up to, I want to say, like 15 frames. 10 frames if you walk left, maybe 15 to 20 frames if you dash left, depending. But it can be very risky, because you can, if you don't dash on the right timing, you can dash right through the bird and he won't pick you up, and then you have to wait to call it again. And at that point, basically, not only do you dash through the bird, but then you go into the water. And then you have to recall the bird. I've never done that before, but, you know. Yeah, I do it all the time. Link just wants to go for an extra swim. This looks like an anti-fairy dash. Oh, nice skip. Alright, so now we're going into Swamp, which is the second intended dungeon. What's really nice about Swamp Palace, actually it's kind of a double-edged sword. So what's nice about Swamp Palace is all the enemies don't do a lot of damage, because it's intended to be the second dungeon of the game. But also on the bad side, basically it's like you can lose time like death by 1,000 paper cuts. Like, they're not going to do a lot of damage to you, but every time that you get hit, can considerably lose you a lot of time. And with the RNG that you have throughout this entire dungeon, it can take time off your clock fairly quickly. You will see a lot of dashes, like a lot of short dashes in this dungeon too, especially when he is walking on water. Basically because, like I said before, when you walk on water, it does slow down Link's movement quite a bit. So even short spaces where you wouldn't normally dash, you will see dashes. Alright, so we have both of the keys now. So now we're going to drain, or fill up the water. I don't know if I said drain. Fill up the water here. That will give us access to the left side, which is where the big key is. So we can get our hook shot. Of course that skeleton was left. I love this game. After running this game for such a long time, you almost expect like the worst of the worst RNG, and you just kind of brush it off because you're so used to it. Especially like when you're on a good run too. That's when all the bad stuff happens. Like I haven't seen this in months. Why now? Doing some hammer dashes through the pots there. All right, we're gonna make our way back through here so we get the big chest. And if I didn't mention it before too, which I probably should, swimming in this game kind of goofy. So, swimming you need quite a bit of I don't want to say acceleration, but I can't think of the word right now. But basically, you want to not dash your swimming buttons until after the splash animation has disappeared, because that can slow you down. But you want to make sure that you mash multiple buttons as you swim. And as you gain momentum, it can take you further than where you want to be. So you kind of almost have to anticipate the movement earlier, especially if you want to change directions. See if Eddie grabs his bomb here. Nice. So I would say normally in a typical speedrun, Eddie wouldn't have grabbed that bomb. But should be fine with the spooky glitch. But if you mess up the spooky glitch and Misery Mire, which I'll talk about in a little bit, and you don't have a bomb, that's pretty much run over. Alright, Eddie's going to go for the optimal Argus strat here, which is called Zero Cycle. Nice fire team. Basically, if you hook dash with your sword held out, it's going to kill the puffs in one hit, unlike a poke would do, because a poke is going to do less damage. But basically, you have to focus on the timing of each puff that is killed to re-hook shot, or else you're going to drop your sword. So if you get the timing right on every single puff, you can kill Argus and basically make it a zero cycle. And then a cycle from Argus is basically having the puffs kind of all circle around him as they disperse out and then they come back in, which takes quite a bit of time away from the run. So if you're able to kill all the puffs before Argus starts his cycle, you can zero cycle him, which saves about 6 seconds. And then, of course, the quick kill at the end with the 2 fire rods and the sword spin. But definitely a tough fight to do or to get consistent with. It takes a lot of speedrunning and time to be able to do that strategy. All right, so now before we go to Misery, we need a little shopping for a couple items. So we're gonna head back up Death Mountain, but now that we have the hook shot, we can do something called a sword climb. And a sword climb is holding your sword out and then hitting Y and A to hook dash, which actually speeds Link's movement up those manual staircases much, much faster. It's the quick works. Alright, he actually used a nice utilized pause buffer to the book there to guarantee a... Should be a little bit faster than just dashing off of that ledge. And we got Ether. We're going to finish this screen with a bird dash. Next shopping item is going to be the Ice Rock, which we will need for Turtle Rock. These crabs right at the cave entrance here can give some bad RNG. This looks pretty good. Nice. One thing to take note of here, especially with how unpredictable Death Mountain is, going up to Ether, and then the Crabs RNG here that you can see. You don't want to lose any hearts at all going into Misery Mire. And the reason for that is because the second room of Misery Mire, you really want to have your sword beams, which will make that room a lot faster. But more importantly, the boss at the end, Vitreous, we're basically purposely taking damage to get a much quicker kill on Vitreous himself. So the less amount of health that you have entering this dungeon, the worse off that you may be. Alright, so Mire 2 going down these stairs. He's going to do the optimal strat. This goes. Beautiful. Does it in one full cycle. If you end up missing any of those whiz ropes, it does take quite a bit of time for them to disappear and then reappear again. So getting through that room fast with sword beams is definitely ideal. Waiting for that fireball to fly by. I love how that jelly key room looks when you do it fast. It's so smooth. Alright, so we need to light 4 torches here, and Eddie's going to use a minor glitch where we're actually able to light the torch and then fire rod through the block as the block is in motion, which saves quite a bit of time. We'll be utilizing that trick with hookshot toward the end of the game as well. But at this point, you can look at your time and the speed, and look at your torch time, and the typical runner, I would say, is about 20 minutes, maybe 21 minutes out from finishing the run at this point. If you're a really good top runner like Eddie, they probably maybe better. But it's definitely a good thing to look at, so judge, you know, where you're at the run, and you know what time is possible at that point. Going for spark skip. We'll see if he gets pushed by the spark right into the stairs. Oh. So that's kind of a gamble. Yeah, that's a gamble that we take as well, to see what how that spark is going to hit us. Alright, Eddie's going to take 3 hearts of intentional damage in a room coming up. Spikes to get a key chest. That's why, like I was saying before, it's always important to enter the dungeon with as many hearts as you can, because you do take quite a bit of intentional damage. Not only in that room, but on the boss fight as well. Alright, so Spooky. So when Eddie went into the portal to get to Misery Mire, he lifted up the rock from the bottom. The reason he did that is to set the bird's altitude as the bird's flying away. So what he's going to do here is he's going to dash before he puts the block down on the switch. And basically, I don't have too much in-depth information on that, but the dash, what is that called that you kick up? The dash dust that you kick up is Ancilla. And what that does is that overrides a certain variable, which allows us to fire rod basically the anti-fairy here, and then also fire rod the lamp or the torch. And basically what it's doing is it's hitting the switch that is on screen, but you can't see it. And that spooky glitch actually saves a considerable amount of time, because we don't have to go into an additional room and bomb the wall just to hit the switch. Nice fight. The Vitreous fight. So basically for the quick kill here, or cycle for Vitreous, is we intentionally charge our sword and go into the puddle, which will intentionally take damage from them, and then as our sword gets charged up, we release it in the middle and then on the far right side, taking an optimal amount of about 4 to 5 hearts of damage there, which is pretty nice. And if you do that quick enough, Vitreous will not have his lightning cycle, thus getting a 0 cycle there, and then you just have to rifle off 8 more arrows to kill Vitreous. At this point in the run, you want to have 13 arrows. Eddie is a few arrows short, so he's probably going to pick up some arrows in Turtle Rock. I hope you all are enjoying this run. Fantastic benefit stream. And I hope everyone is having just a great night. Living the dream. Positivity. Going for the Waffle House. Oh, he gets hit by a squirrel. These squirrels are just such bullies. Oh, I'm having a blast. I'm glad everybody is enjoying the run. Alright, hopefully these 2 squirrels here don't give us bad RNG. Oh, I thought you were... Alright, so Eddie's going to have to hit these 3 pegs here. He's going to hook speed by him frame on the ladder. It's going to make us much faster. And enter the warp. Ooh, that looks like quick warp.
Yeah, that was a quick warp.
Oh, baby. That quick warp does not exist in my mind.
It's definitely one of the hardest.
So what Eddie did here is... But he did a Quake Dash just by hitting Y and A on the same frame. So when he touches these stairs, he is going to have the super speed state. Sky Cabbage is making me hungry. Man, now I'm hungry. Actually, I'm always hungry. I eat when I'm bored. Which is like all the time, so... Alright, so Eddie's going to light these 4 torches and shot off, taking damage, but it's going to be much faster to get back to the platform. And then he's also going to utilize hook iframes here to get by these rollers, which do, I believe, 4 hearts of damage. And then on the way out, he's going to intentionally take a hit, activate iframes, which actually lasts 60 frames or 1 second, and that allows him to walk through the second roller and then dash out of the room. If you do decide to mirror in that room, it's about a 5-second loss, so intentionally taking damage here is ideal for time, but
nice. This
dungeon is the reason why we want to conserve the fairy. Hey, I was just talking about the fairy. Out of my head, game. When we conserved that prize pack in Ega Tower for the fairy, this is where we wanted it because we were taking that intentional damage. And as you know it, that fairy showed up exactly when we wanted it. It's always best to get that fairy at that pokey. Or I think its official name is like Hokoboku or Hokoboku, or I don't know. Dude's a pokey from Mario, that's all I know. But anyways, that room is ideal to get the fairy because there's a lot of beam strategies that we can do in various rooms throughout this dungeon, which is going to make it a lot faster for us. No! Oh, key dash. Oh no! Shadows to Blunt Bunny.
Okay, this is scary.
Alright, so Eddie took an unfortunate damage from that pokey. They do a ton of damage late game, mainly because we are still on green mail. So everything in these last few dungeons are just going to hit like a truck. It is a little scary being on 4 hearts at this point, because toward the end here for a key, we have to do something called skip. And if you get hit by a laser, the laser does 4 hearts of damage. Alright, grabbing that magic. Ooh, 5 hearts. All right, Eddie's gonna do a trick here called the squeeze. I think I'm a few rows ahead on the screen, but I just try to get a little bit ahead. He's gonna throw out 2 red blocks, take some iframes from the blocks coming up, and then squeeze right by the pin, and he did it. Nice. That can be a little scary in this dungeon when you're on very low. He is gonna take an intentional hit here. You can switch to the hook shot and then use hook shot iframes if you want to dodge that, but we're trying to go fast. Ain't nobody got time for that. Alright, we got laser skip coming up here. Basically, he needs to align himself with a specific pixel to dash past the laser. There we go. Beautiful. The laser skip allows us to be able to get that chest key without having to go further left in the dungeon and get the mirror shield, which actually blocks those lasers. We don't want to do that. It takes too much time. Yo, Techno, I'm pretty sure Conster is, if I'm not mistaken. Alright, he's going to take the backdoor to Trinex here, which is a little bit faster.
Oh god, okay.
He's going to line himself up here for the final. It's going to be a double spin, and then he's going to get hit to the far left, and then he's going to do 1 extra slash.
You're fine, boys.
This is fine.
Yeah, this dungeon can be so scary if you're low on hearts.
Yeah, especially when you die, we have to start because at the laser skip room, there is a wall that you can bomb to go outside and then back in, which will actually count that as like a checkpoint. So if you do die, you start there at laser skip, but that takes quite a bit of time and we don't have time for that. We need to go fast. Alright, so now that we have rescued the final maiden, we're going to make our way to open up Ganon's tower by doing a fantastic hook speed on the stairs here. Oh, he runs so fast. So Ganon's tower is probably one of my favorite, especially to watch, because there are so many different strategies and optimal things that you can do throughout almost all the rooms all the way up this tower, and it's such a nice treat to watch a really good runner go through this. Alright, we're gonna skip that key on the torch there because there are other keys toward the top of the tower that are a little bit faster. Alright, let's see if Eddie gets the first trick here, which is called Spike Skip. Oh, baby. Oh, baby! That is a very, very tough trick to hit. See, all these rooms are just such a treat to watch. It's just so cool. There's also a really cool bonk skip coming up here, so we don't have to enter a specific portal. I always like this trick too. I never knew about this until I started speedrunning this game. Same thing with bonking this pot up here to skip the invisible maze. I always had to cast ether like 15 times. Where am I going? What is this pathway? Yuzu?
Yep.
Oh, baby. Alright, so Eddie's gonna do Yuzu Ice.
Fucked it up. Shit. The lag is too strong sometimes.
You should still get it on the ramp. That's fine. You had plenty of arrows. Alright, so we're gonna grab the big key. We're gonna grab the chest to the left and just 10 more arrows. And we're gonna mirror to the entrance. Now we're gonna make our climb up the middle of the tower, which is the fun part. Eddie's gonna take some damage on purpose here through these spikes. He's gonna lose about 3 hearts. But it's the quickest way to do it. These 2 mimic rooms here are probably some of the toughest rooms in the game to do optimally. And Eddie does it flawlessly. Those rooms look so neat to watch a top runner do those. The bow dash! What a god. How has the RNG been so far? A few. It's been decent. There are a few RNG things that went badly, but we're managing. All right, so now we're gonna go through Gauntlet, which is 5 rooms of treachery of enemies and conveyors and BMOS lasers and ice and spikes. It is just a whole lot of not fun. But getting through these rooms quick is pretty tough to do. Especially if you get bad RNG from the enemies. Alright, we're in the last ice room. Alright, so after we killed the Ice Armos, now we get to kill Landmolas again. This time we have the Tempered Sword. Short hop. So it is a little bit quicker than...
miss?
Whoa, what happened there? So the Fire Rod can go through Landmola. Alright, these next few rooms coming up is fun to watch too, especially if you're not too speedrun. Killing all these Wizrobes with the Cane of Samaria is really cool to see. Awesome. Unfortunately, no. Mages. Alright, so Eddie's gonna try to get off the lamp dash here. Skip this fire bar. Beautiful. Ooh. In the fire rod dash for the swag. Ladies and gentlemen, putting out the strats. And getting the bottom torches. I'm a little jelly right now. Going through this tower like a boss. Alright, so I believe Eddie is going to go for a hover, skipping the Moldorm 2 boss fight. And hovering, you have to hit the dash button, and then 1 frame later you have to release it.
Nice.
And then 1 frame later you have to hit the dash button again. You have to do that the entire time across that gap. That is no easy trick to do. He gets it first try. That is a very, very tough trick to get consistently. So shoutouts there. That was a fantastic cover. All right, Aghanim 2. This is the worst. So basically, there's 2 clones and then Aghanim himself. The first round is going to be basically like the last time. Fires a guaranteed energy shot. The next 3 are going to be a 50-50 between a blue ball and an energy shot. But basically everyone calls this guy the Geometry Wizard because you have to line up to be able to hit the real Aghanim depending on where the other guys stand. Hitting a 3 cycle is fantastic. 2 cycle is the most optimal way that you can go, but hitting a 2 cycle is very tough. 3 or 4 cycle I think is just fine. So everybody knew that we can't use the bird in the dark, right? So I'm a little confused. Somebody explain. All right, we are on the final boss fight. This is Ganon. Watching a top runner beat Ganon with optimal strats is very fun. The first thing he's going to do is what they call a trident spin. He's going to clink off the trident and get a double spin hit on Ganon, which he does. 5 hits on the bottom here. He's going to start his next phase. All right, we're going to use our hook iframes to avoid the fire circle, avoid the bats, and then now we're on phase 3. You need to hit Ganon 4 times on phase 3. The teleports are all random. You can get 0 teleport, 30 plus. It just depends. Once you hit him the 4th time, that is your chance to get ready for what they call the torch glitch. What's nice about the torch glitch is... Let me wait for here for a second. He gets a double spin. Okay, so he hits the double spin and he gets the torch. If you are able to light the left torch before the right torch goes out, the right torch will stay lit infinitely. So the only torch you have to worry about relighting to be able to hit Ganon is just the left torch. So not only does that save you magic, but more importantly, it saves you time. After that, during phase 4, you need to get 12 spins on Ganon, and basically you have a short window to spin Ganon as he's teleporting. Nice. G, Eddie. Still a very good time.
126.25. Damn.
Nice. That's still pretty good. Basically anything under 29, those are all fantastic times. The hard one at first for a lot of runners is going to be a sub 1, and then once you get down to below 126 or 127, things get pretty optimal and pretty difficult to have consistently do. So shoutouts to Eddie here. It was a fantastic run. He put on a show for you guys. Did a lot of fantastic optimal strats. And I hope you all enjoyed the fantastic run, and I hope you all enjoyed the commentary that I was able to provide for y'all. And thank you for having me. And I believe the next run is Beat Saber by Simply Azuma. So hopefully you guys stay tuned to that. Eddie, anything you want to say about the run or anything else?
Yeah, this run would have been really good without the Eastern F, actually. But I told Fricke before this run started that I would be super nervous at the beginning, and I really was. I was like super nervous. And then in the middle of the run, it was like not that bad anymore. But I think you guys saw that. Like, my hands were like literally shaking at the beginning. I'm not like used to do marathon runs, but yeah, this run was not too bad. I'm okay with this time. Thanks everyone for watching. And also thanks to Manix for having me. Make sure to donate. It's for a good cause, boys. And yeah, have fun with the next run.
All right, enjoy. Thank you for having me again.
Cheers, folks. Thanks so much for the great run, and we'll be back soon.